Have you got a big green egg and ever wondered if some of the Kamado Joe accessories you see me use on my channel might actually fit and work just fine in your big green egg? Well, today's video, just for you. If you are new to the channel, you may not know, I actually got my start with big green egg over 15 years ago, and so much has changed in 15 years, including things like brand new bands, a hinge mechanism, which is now approaching one finger ease of operation. We've got a cast iron regulator top, a tell-true temperature gauge, a new nest, shelves, as well as a 5-piece expander system inside. There is so much to go into. I won't have time to cover all that's new in today's video, but for our purposes, the good news, the base and the dome remain relatively the same. So everything that I'm going to go through from an accessories perspective around what fits and what doesn't fit should apply to most big green egg owners. I will put the caveat of should because I show that brand new hinge mechanism and brand new bands, including these tabs to help secure the dome. There may be some angle differences. So for the JoeTisserie as well as the Dojo, those are the two with caveats that I would say check and confirm. But from my research, particularly on the JoeTisserie, on the Big Green Egg website, as well as Facebook groups, there are many owners confirming the JoeTisserie has not been a problem. The Dojo is the only one I will put as a cautionary tale. Probably best to skip as it doesn't fit on most big green egg models that I've tested. You get too big of an air gap. Big green egg instead has their own pizza wedges designed for the specific angle of the dome opening hinge mechanism on the big green egg. Now, I mentioned I started with big green egg, but if you've been around the channel before, you see lots of red. And accessories was one of those pain points 15 years ago that had me looking for more. I think accessories along with warranty are my top buying criteria. Now with over nearly 2 decades under the belt, I will say that the taste tests are relatively too close to call. I even did a blind taste test once with Sarah, and she gave me some food I cooked on my big green egg as well as my Kamado Joe, and I guessed one right and I guessed one wrong.
No idea which one that is though.
They are close. What is not often close is the availability of accessories along with warranty support. And earlier in the year, I did a review of something like the Weber Summit Kamado. It's a mighty fine Kamado, but rich in accessories, it is not. I think at the time of recording, the official accessories offered by Weber was about 4. So if you can count on one hand, this is not a ton of accessories. And I think accessories are a make or break category for Kamados, because I used the analogy before, just bear with me 30 seconds on this, but if you haven't heard it, they are like sport utility vehicles. They're not a pickup truck, they're not a sports car, they're not a family car or a fuel efficient car, but they're a little bit of all those things done well enough. It's no wonder they are the best selling vehicle category in North America. And I think ceramic Kamados share a lot of that in common. You know, they're not a dedicated pizza oven. They're not a dedicated offset smoker or a propane grill or a charcoal kettle or anything like that. But if you converge all of those things and said, I could only own one grill and it does all of those things remarkably well, it's no wonder if I reflect what first drew me to ceramic cookers, along with so many others in the comment letting me know why a ceramic Kamado has been the choice for their backyard. Accessories and versatility is a big part of it. That brings me to today's topic about Kamado Joe accessories on the big green egg. Let's get started with 2 of my longtime favorites, the JoeTisserie and the Soapstone. So let's start with the Soapstone accessory, since that's actually still installed from last night's ribeye dinner, but you can see already that it fits just fine in the EGGspander. But showing you something that's new on the EGGspander from when I left is the new top rack, which is slidable. So I could have my steaks up here, do my reverse sear, and then move it out of the way and have direct access to my Soapstone below, or like I was doing last night, just pull this right out. I'll also pull out the cooking grate so you can get a look at the EGGspander itself. So here you can see how our Soapstone fits onto the EGGspander. Something that I appreciated about this setup is this is hard wired in. This is part of the EGGspander that allows me to lift and remove, whether it's my deflector plates or in this case, my Soapstone accessory. I can flip this front to back, left to right, either way that I want, but the Soapstone is fully supported. That's something I spend just a minute here on. My Soapstone, I love it compared to cast iron because it's antibacterial. It can be left out year round. It's not going to develop rust. High heat can quickly clean it, bring it back to brand new. It's a natural surface. But that being said, like granite, it can be fragile. So you want to have it supported by a cooking grid. So you wouldn't want to put this directly, for example, on the tabs of my divide and conquer rack and not have a cooking grid underneath of it. I always have a cooking grid or my EGGccessory. That's not something that I needed here to use in my big green egg test, as I was able to fit it no problem on the bottom of the EGGspander rack, put a cooking grid above it, do my reverse sear, and when it was time to go for inferno mode and get this up to 700 to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, no problem for my sear, I was able to then drop the steaks directly on the soapstone and get an amazing crust. While we have this open, I need to remove the EGGspander for the JoeTisserie test no matter what. It also gave me a chance to show you updated versions of some of my favorite accessories, the Kickash basket as well as the Kickash can. So this you've seen before. This is just the extra large big green egg version of a Kickash basket. And this is perhaps my favorite new accessory that didn't exist when I had a big green egg, which is the Kickash can. So like this, you can see in one step, I have removed all ash that is in the bottom of my egg from my previous cook. Gone are the days are blindly sort of raking around with the ash tool, trying to collect all the ash and get it out in a pan. My Kickash can makes quick work of this. And if you're wondering, I've already tested, I'll have that in an upcoming video. I've found a way to do double indirect on a big green egg, and just like before, adding wood splits into my Kickash can either before the cook or during the cook has been a great way to add supplemental smoke. I can drop this back in. Let me get the JoeTisserie. The JoeTisserie, as you can see, not only drops in exactly as it should, you'd almost think it was made for the exact dimensions of the big green egg, as it seals up completely all the way around. And I've also had the benefit not just of dropping this on and letting you know that it fits, but to do a test run cook where I did some buffalo wings. So I used the Kamado Joe JoeTisserie basket, which can be used both as a wing basket and or you can use the flat pieces and adjust the 3 levels on the basket to clamp down, something like fish or steak, if you wanted to take advantage of the rotisserie benefits without having something flop around or needing to skewer a giant spit rod through something that you're cooking like a nice steak. So when you go for the slices and presentation, you don't have the spit rod going all the way through. And I'm pleased to confirm that one of my all-time favorite accessories, the JoeTisserie and JoeTisserie basket, absolutely works as you would hope on the big green egg. Let's move on to our next. So next up is the internal components of our Kamados. This is the Kamado Joe Divide and Conquer rack system. So to answer the question of should you add a Divide and Conquer rack system to your big green egg, I suppose depends on how old your egg is and what components you already own. When I did this exact video for the Weber Summit, adding something like the Kamado Joe Big Joe Series 1 or 2 Divide and Conquer rack system made a world of difference in terms of getting much more versatility than what any stock system on the Weber Summit affords. The Big Green Egg and the Kamado Joe systems are far more comparable than many other competing Kamados, which don't offer the same level of versatility. So I would say this comes down to price as well as what you already have. If, like me, over 15 years ago, all you have is a one-piece cooking grid and a plate setter, now called the convector, then adding a multi-level rack system could open up a whole bunch of options, like reverse searing your steak over a heat deflector plate and then dropping down to a cooking grid. And both the Kamado Joe system and the Big Green Egg system will allow you to do that, as they have shared in common 2-piece heat deflectors that you can arrange on different levels. They have half moon cooking grids that you can also arrange on different levels. And the biggest point of difference that I could find between the two is the Big Green Egg system has handles that allow you to remove everything, including the top slide out cooking rack, as one piece. So with splitting hairs here, there's a little bit of differences, but since the question comes up so often is, hey James, can I use a Divide and Conquer rack system inside the Big Green Egg? The answer is, so long as it's not the Series 3, which is a 4-inch taller grill along with a taller Divide and Conquer rack system that does not fit inside of a Big Green Egg, but the Series 1 and 2 Divide and Conquer rack absolutely fits. On to the next. Next up, we're gonna get into some cook surfaces, and this is where the current battle is going on across different manufacturers. This is the arms race to offer more new cooking surfaces. And in the last year, Kamado Joe has brought to market 2 of which I have in front of me. First, the paella pan, as well as the carbon steel wok. And then the third one, which I don't yet have, is the grill baskets for things like roast potatoes. So if you're unfamiliar with carbon steel, I won't geek out and go into too much details, but one of the main advantages that you'll see compared to things like cast iron is it's incredibly light. So compared to a cast iron, something this size in your grill can get quite heavy and difficult to move around. These are much lighter and easier to move inside your grill. The other advantage is they are also the sports car in terms of responsiveness of coming up to temperature for things like sauteing or shallow frying or getting some good color on your veggies. We can more quickly bring the temperature up and bring the temperature down, which when you're cooking over a live fire is an absolute must. I love cast iron for so many things. If I was baking my cast iron apple pie or something like that inside of a Kamado, I would absolutely want cast iron for its residual retained heat, very slow to rise and very long lasting to hold its energy, but it could be a lot more difficult to work with if we're doing something like our family's favorite lobster or shrimp curry, where if we get too much energy into that pan, it is very difficult to get that energy out and not overcook whatever delicate items we might have inside. So let me bring you nice and close and show you how these 2 carbon steel accessories fit or don't fit inside of a Big Green Egg. So let's start with the paella pan. So you've got a couple options for using this. You could obviously place it just like this on top of the cooking grids, bring that up to temperature and get to work at whatever you're cooking. We also have an option just like I would on the divide and conquer rack. Let me remove this for a second. So with the cooking grids removed, we can get down and get a little bit more heat if we wanted some more energy, maybe for a shallow pan fry or something like that, sitting right on the bottom of our EGGspander system. Set this aside. Next up is the carbon steel wok. So we've got a couple options, and this, by the way, you see the handle not closing. This is the same on my Series 1, Series 2, and or 3 Kamado Joe grills. This handle is not meant to close in any configuration. Instead, it's meant to be just like you see it here, where with a high heat glove, we can get a little bit of heat, do some sauteing action away from the fire. And so I've used this for a shallow pan fry. Again, caution. When I say pan fry, I've said it a couple times. Anytime you have anything that could be frying directly over a live fire, that is not something you want to be doing in close proximity to your house or your first time working with flammable ingredients. I always off camera have a fire extinguisher nearby. So be cautious if you are doing some shallow pan frying with something very combustible like oil, but more often or not, what we're using this for, traditional wok deals and or the shrimp curry. But as I mentioned earlier, carbon steel and accessories are an arms race. Let me show you something. I borrowed this from my Big Green Egg dealer. This is the new Big Green Egg carbon steel wok. So at the time of recording, I don't believe there are any other carbon steel options available from Big Green Egg, but you can see, just like so many other things that we've covered, this back and forth jostling for more new products. So exciting to see there's some options, but at time of recording, if you are looking for some bespoke carbon steel accessories to use either in a Big Green Egg or your Kamado Joe, there are some great options available for sale today. On the list of things that I would skip if you are getting excited and going over all the accessories on the Kamado Joe website thinking you could apply them to your Big Green Egg, I would skip the control tower top. I love the control tower top for its simplicity of being able to find and repeat your settings. So for example, if I want to go directly to the first, second, third line, I know exactly what that's going to do from a temperature perspective, as well as sliding all the way open. But you can see the diameter on top of the Big Green Egg is not the same diameter of the opening inside of the control tower top. So these two parts are not interchangeable one way or the other. If you have a Kamado Joe and you're following along and say, I love the cast iron surface that should my seasoning become messed up, I could spray some oil on that, as I've done many times with my original cast iron daisy wheel, throw that into the fire. If I remove the rubber heat safe tab for handling that, put on a brand new seasoning and it looks good as new, which is absolutely true, but this also does not fit on the Kamado Joe as the diameter is smaller. The SloRoller is another one of those accessories that technically you could make this fit. If you were to remove your fire ring, remove the charcoal basket so the SloRoller can make good contact with the lower portion of your firebox, but I don't recommend that given that it's a little kludgy in terms of how you have to install that. And now that the temperature rating on the website has lowered from 500 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 degrees Fahrenheit maximum temperature, the fact that we are dropping even closer to our firebox, I don't imagine is a great idea. So if you're considering that, I'd probably pass on that one and instead look at many of the other good options that we reviewed so far. So as a fan of Kamado's and a customer of both brands, it's been exciting over the last decade and a half to see this innovation arms race continuing to develop inside and outside of our Kamados, which as consumers can only mean good things. But if you have a green egg and are looking for ways to get more out of it, and you've been wondering, are some of those Kamado Joe accessories maybe a good fit or a good idea for your big green egg? I hope this video has been helpful at confirming not only what fits, but what also might be a good idea or option to upgrade the accessories that you're using inside of your big green egg. That's it for today. I'm James from SoCadet Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.